on Standpoint. You're watching Morning Prime here. I'm holding court this morning with John Mbadi, who's the chair of the ODM party, also nominated member of parliament. We're holding court as well with Gladys Bos-Chule, who's a deputy speaker of the National Assembly. We have also the senator of Tana River, Danson Mungatana, and Farah Malim, who is a member of parliament for the DAB. Issues that we're discussing is regarding, of course, the finance bill and the budget estimates that are read, contentions around also the timing of it. It should have been read concurrently or before the estimates as well. But we want to see what is the way forward regarding this. Is it of any material utility as far as the whole process is concerned, or that is just a very teeny tiny matter that we don't really need to be concerned about? But according to John Mbadi, it is not. It needs to be given, of course, huge attention as far as also the whole process is concerned, just to set the precedent for also other bills and the budget estimates that will be read later. So we are to circle back also on the issue of some of the legislators who were a no-show during that particular debate and the passing of that particular bill for the second reading. Farah Malim was not, John Mbadi was not. We have also the party, that is ODM, saying that disciplinary actions actually will be meted out. So let's just hear from you first of all, John Mbadi. Why were you a no-show? You can tell us where you were. And also, Farah Malim, why were you not on the floor of the House on that material day? All right, I think it's your turn, or it's John Mbadi? I think it's Farah's turn.
Well,
yeah, we just...
I can start.
You can start.
Well, I indicated that I was in Geneva, and clearly I went to Geneva I left Kenya on 8th.
Yeah, I wanted just you to come it trips of your own tongue, so it's not be really speaking or brief for you.
I actually left the country on 8th.
Yes.
This is something that is known to the party. Even the party leader is aware, because informally I discussed with him. I told him I was going for official duty of parliament in Geneva. But besides that, I will tell you, no one actually imagined that this bill would be brought that week on 15th and debated, and a division would be called. Finance bill, we have debated, all the finance bills that we have debated have never been debated in one day. And that is one thing that I want to ask very politely, and we have speakers here. We have the deputy speaker, and we have a very senior member of the speakers panel who has even been a deputy speaker before. And Wetangula is a very good friend of mine, someone I respect a lot as our speaker. There are certain things that you must just do differently. Even from the voting, it is clear that Kenya Kwanza have the numbers. How they have got that numbers is not a subject of discussion today. But if you have comfortable number, then just allow debate. Finance bill is not something to joke around with. It is the future of this country. Again, even previous week, I saw something very curious. Although there was disorder in the House, but you could not allow debate on budget estimates to be terminated, a matter of just a few MPs contributing and then put the question. There are things that we must just insist that they have to be done procedurally and properly. You know, budget estimates, again, is the life of this country. So, in my view, to answer your question, I was away in Geneva from 8th to 16th. I could not make it back because I got to know that the debate on finance bill would happen on Wednesday, on Tuesday, and I was in Geneva. For you to fly from Geneva to Kenya, you require so many hours. It's not easy. So that is why I was absent.
Okay.
But
I wanted to inquire because we had also COVID-19 and people were voting virtually. That is off the table.
That is another thing that Parliament should facilitate.
So how come? That is not really...
National Assembly did not provide that opportunity for members to vote virtually. But despite that...
Should that be a concern that you should raise?
It should be a concern,
that,
but
your
to
voice
me...
will not really heard because
yes, it should be a concern. Actually, to me, I really wanted to contribute. It's not about even voting. The bar that my voice was not heard on finance bill, I feel really bad. It's not just about voting. I have something to contribute, especially when it comes to matters finance.
But you have a sporting chance for the third reading as well.
But above all,
yes.
a third reading is usually very... But anyway, I'll put my point across. But above all, you know, when a matter like finance bill, budget estimates, the date of voting should be known. That is how it happens in other jurisdictions. You set up a date that everybody knows. Today, National Assembly of the Republic of Kenya is taking a vote on a matter finance bill, so that people are prepared even to see who is voting where. But now when I'm told, I don't know, I've not checked because I didn't hear it and I've not read the Hansard. But I'm told the Speaker even communicated that voting will take place on Tuesday. But again, later in the night or later in the evening, voting took place. To me, I think it was not done well. But my absence is clear. I was out of the country and I couldn't make it back. If I could make it back, I would have made it back. And not just me alone. I was even with the Honorable Wundo, who really felt bad that he was away. And many of my colleagues we were with felt they should have been back, including Kenya Kwanza, the MPs we were with. MP for Soy was with me out there, and he wanted to vote yes. Actually, we had 2 yes votes and 3 nay votes where I was, at least for that day. We also carried out our
question is,
our mock vote, and we voted 3 against 2.
Okay, Dibal, yes. I think the point we're missing here is that there was public participation on the finance bill. And the public participation took, the set dates were 9 days, but they even had more time, probably even 4 weeks before that. They received 1,600 memorandum. They met 181 institutions who presented physically, in person, orally to the committee. They also had 110 individuals who presented before the committee. In fact, this particular bill will go down in history as the most consultative, high public participation process in the history of Parliament. And because it's the history of Parliament, he'll confirm. It is true, right?
You're an archive.
It has never happened. It's never happened. They then, so the issue is, when I hear people complaining about the bill now, I ask myself, where were you during the public participation? Because you should have actually appeared during the public participation and presented your views. In fact, certain changes and amendments were made as a result of the public participation. So actually, I tell anybody, I said, did you go to public participation? They say no. Then I said, okay, then there's no point. Even me as a member of Parliament, nothing stops me from going to the public participation and giving my views. You can say, on this part, I don't agree. This is my suggested process. It would have been documented. It is in the Hansard. There is a whole report on the presentation that were made. So you don't even need to have been in Parliament on the day of voting. You needed, or even to contribute to the debate. Contributing to the debate is a show, because all Kenyans are watching. But where the rubber meets the road is at the public participation. None of them appeared before public participation.
But isn't that the whole essence of having this?
Mbadi, yes. You had an opportunity even before you were away. Yes, it's good to contribute on the floor of the House, and I agree that people need to have more time to do that, but you also had an opportunity, unfettered opportunity. In fact, the Finance Committee, when they got 9 days, and the Speaker was willing to even extend more time for them. So if anybody had said, I want to contribute I want to go and present before the Finance Committee, it would have been better. And this one is something that's available to members of public institutions. Anybody could have appeared before.
But I'm inclined to wonder, when we had Otiende Omolo raising this particular question, he was not given sufficient time. So I'm surprised that you say he extended time for a debate.
No, I'm saying there was the public,
for the public, yes.
Every bill in Parliament has the public participation component. And the days can be minimized depending on the case or extended. As I said, nobody should say that I didn't have a chance on the floor. You had a chance even before the floor. Because the time on the floor is limited.
Can I say it? I think it's my turn. Let me just explain.
I want to respond to that, but maybe...
Farah, go first, and then you'll respond to it.
To begin with, I want to make one point clear to everybody here and the country itself. I am one person who has the capacity to tell UDA to go to hell, ODM to go to hell, and every other party in this country and every presidential candidate and still come to parliament. And I did that under Moi. So personally, my independence is unfettered. I ran in Azimio because Wiper was in Azimio. But I had an ODM candidate against him. The main candidate against him was an ODM candidate. And on many occasions, even in public, on a TV like this, I said, I chose a contestation between Raila Odinga and William Ruto. William Ruto is going to win very early in the morning. Against my own Azimio bloc's position on that. So when I vote on something, I vote my conscience. And Mbadi knows that. And that conscience is so independent that when everybody was coming, this is the promise, I was in Fort Kenya. So let me tell you, I was going to vote yes myself. Listen to me carefully. I was going to vote yes. And I'll give you serious reasons why I was going to vote yes. I was going to vote yes. Unfortunately, just like him, I didn't expect the vote to take place on that particular day. But when my own PA told me, look, there's a division in there, I tried to run, and there was a jam. I actually walked from where Railway Club is, in the rain, and I came in when the doors were just locked before me.
So you actually attempted to?
I actually attempted, and I wanted to vote yes, and I'm going to vote yes, and I'm telling you that right now. I want everybody to know that. And I have no qualms about that. My independence is unfettered. It's my conscience that tells me which direction to go. And I've had this for the last 33 years.
But you've been having...
Hang on a minute. Yes. No, I never opposed it.
No. I'm saying you've been having scruples with Right Honorable Raila.
It's all...
Has this really informed also your decision?
It's all ideological and it's all to do with... And I voted the longest for an Odinga. Let me tell you one thing. You get my point? But I didn't feel that in the last election he was going to win. And I have my own valid reasons for that, and he lost actually. Which is okay. I mean, there's always another day. But the point I'm trying to tell you is this. I was going to vote yes in this because this country was put in a shithole over the last 10 years through reckless borrowing.
Well, I think that shithole word is really admissible. It's a breakfast show. No, but
it's me who's saying, so don't worry about it. Nobody's.
No, I shouldn't worry.
I take responsibility for what I say. What I've done for the last 33 years.
I think such should not be.
We were put in a grave. We were put in a shakahola. If that's going to be any different from that, because under Kibaki, we had $17 billion debt, both domestic and external. Today, we have almost 100 billion. And financial imprudence. He's a brilliant finance guy, and I have so much respect for Mbadi. We tell you that you have consequences. You do not have solutions. And solutions is part of the consequence.
Yes.
If you're given money to go and develop a factory, and then you go and marry a second wife, and put up a good house, and put up swimming pools, all these things are going to be auctioned tomorrow. You get my point? We'll be out there in the streets. So for us to avoid to go out into the streets, to avoid being relegated down and this country going into hell, we have to tighten our belts and pay more taxes now. Now, if we default once, we'll be relegated. The concessional funds from the multilateral bodies is going to stop. Yes. You'll have to go to the commercial banks. They're going to bleed you to hell, Shylocks basically, and the country will go to hell. The shilling is going to come down to 300, and even less, even more. And the economy will go to hell. So I want us to save this country, and the only way to save it is right now we tighten our belts, we pay more taxes, we pay off some of these things, and we come out clean, and later on we can have luxury of having a country that's better when the shilling has stabilized and a lot of things. I'll tell you, he's a smart guy. So for me, that is it. I'm looking at the country. I'm not looking at Raila. I'm not looking at Odinga. And I detest the issue of being told like sheep and goats, go in this direction. The party leader has said, go in this direction. The coalition leader has said, go in this direction. And we jump up and down and dance. What was that democracy we were fighting for when we were fighting Kanu in the 80s and 90s? What was it? It's the independence of the member of parliament.
You've got to comply.
Hang on a minute. No, you can't comply.
You comply with the tenets of the party.
You comply with your conscience. You comply with the conscience if the party position. Look, if you had a party, you call the party. Odinga was my party leader in the first time when I came to parliament in 1992. Let me just finish. He will call us when we have a budget. I'm sure you've heard the story. He will call us and we will sit in a boardroom and we'll discuss this budget. We'll discuss everything that's there. And he's going to say, he has a point. He has a point.
Thank you.
He has a point. And then we take a collective decision.
Thank you.
Hang on a minute. We take a collective decision. We cannot come out of an election and start politics immediately. This country cannot be in politics forever. The 5 years, whoever has won, give them an opportunity to run. If they run it bad, use that to get rid of them in the next election.
All right. Let me just cross over to Danson Mugatana and ask you. First of all, I'm consternated by the fact even Farah Maalim did not really know that that particular day there will be a voting.
Yes.
So the essence of communication, which was not very effective.
There are two things that worry me. Let me just explain.
No, you hang on first of all.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you, what actually was a tearing rush to try and steamroll this particular
let me explain to
the
you,
finance bill within one day?
Let me explain to you, Diban. We are all here seasoned legislators, meaning we've been elected at least twice into the House, and we know what happens. And these gentlemen are also in the speaker's panel. So you know what happens. In the House, the second reading is the most important, because for the benefit of Kenyans, first reading is when the bill is just read and it's published. So every Kenyans now know it's there. Then there's a second reading. Second reading is the most important one, because that's when you debate to convince each other whether we should pass or refuse it. Then you go to the committee of the whole, where amendments are introduced. And then you go to the third reading. And then you take it to the president if it's passed. Now, everybody here knows that it is the mood of the House. Yeah? Dibal, when you are seated there, you are like the speaker on this particular conversation. You notice how the debate is going, how it is going. And then you say, it's the mood of the House that we should vote now. You see, so every member knows it can happen, because it's not true that in Kenya you say, this is the day we are going to finish the bill. Even if you do so, you do it with caution. Because it is your estimate. Because if the mood of the House is that wacha tumalize hii sahi, they will finish it, and there's nothing you can do. As a speaker, you'll be looked at as very dictatorial if the whole House is saying we don't want debate on this matter, and you insist that the debate goes on. So for me, they are to blame for not being there, because the mood of the House on the day of debate can be anything. But for those who are outside the country, you cannot say that they were to be blamed, because they were also doing equally important parliamentary business. The other critical thing that we need to agree on is that it is impossible to get all the members of the House at the same time in the House. 349 members, unless you are voting on a constitutional bill, it's almost even it's very difficult. That's why even constitutional bill, they say 2/3 majority. It's difficult to get everyone there because Parliament has many other businesses. But the general feeling, the general mood, the general, is actually obtained by those who are there. So if you have 2/3 majority, or you have many members, over 200 or even over 150, you can't say because this one was absent, this one was absent. They would vote differently.
Right.
Okay?
Your marks are still on. Sorry,
you can't say because this one was there, this was absent, they would vote differently. So for me, I say the mood of the House on that particular day was that the second reading be passed for the finance bill. So as Honorable Mbadi is saying, where they were 5 of them doing parliamentary business. So 2 were for yes, 3 were for no. But when you look at it, what difference would it have made? There are 179 who voted yes and 81 who voted no. So even in looking at it, the mood of the House was that this bill passes. And
so who gauges the mood of the House? The Speaker himself?
No,
because now that will be a moving target.
It is.
People saying they say somebody normally asks that the question be put.
May the question be put now, like you where you're seated there. You would hear the debates, what, and then you start seeing this thing is going this way.
Allow me just to battle, because Ali had raised the issue
about it. Yeah.
Some of the legislators, they feel they are not given sufficient time for a healthy debate. You were talking about the mood.
I agree.
We've had them claiming that the Speaker has been going full steam ahead to put the question. Before, if this is not, let him finish.
Yes, let me go on that one. Now, you have, this is something that is very debatable, because for me, I personally feel that there are many bills in the House, and there are some which you can just curtail the debate, and there are some which ought to be given enough time. Apart from constitutional bill, any money bill is a bill that should be given as much opportunity as possible. Okay, but I wasn't the speaker, so the speaker is the one who judges the mood. So you seated here, or the opposition or the government people even, they feel no, we are not given enough time to talk about this matter. But you see, if the speaker there judges that the mood, this matter has been debated enough and the general mood is like this. So legitimately, by the way, whatever Honorable Mbadi says that they were not given enough time, even the other side, they say they were not given enough time, it is legitimate. But you see, if the general mood is that, this is even back home, the elders, we have something called GASA. The elders sit on their stools and they are discussing. It could be a whole day, by the way. People are just talking on maybe a matter regarding land boundaries. And the elders there, the Pokomo elders are very good at this. People are so patient. They listen. And then at the end, the person chairing, the chairman, would say, I feel that this is the general direction. So the speaker is like the chairman of the elders council. Whenever he's seated there, he has to judge the mood of the House.
Thank you.
And some people, they like to talk a lot, but others still are waiting. So sometimes they are curtailed and someone feels very bad. But really, it is a general consensus kind of thing.
Thank you.
So I think it reflected.
No, it is Mbadi's time. Mbadi, over to you.
I think, Speaker, you will come in later.
Just because of the
I
issue
first want to
that
talk
was-
about what Gladys said about public participation. It is true that this is the first time that I think we have had an extensive public participation on finance bill. And it is by default. Why? Because a lot of provisions in that bill, Kenyans felt offended. If the bill was not so offensive to Kenyans, the debate would have not been much. I want to also repeat that public participation, the intention was to allow other Kenyans who have no opportunity to physically be present in the National Assembly to debate the finance bill, to take their views to the committee. I have hardly seen members of parliament presenting their views to any committee of parliament.
I have.
Very few. I've said very few.
I have
because
presented.
we have a forum, National Assembly. That's why I was elected to come to the National Assembly. There's people who are elected directly. Some of us were elected by political parties to represent their interests. I have a platform at the National Assembly, and that platform we were waiting for. But something that we are missing, and I want to go back to it, is that the traditions and usages are provided for in these standing orders of the National Assembly and the Senate. Our tradition has been, even if you leave the legal aspect of it, the provisions of the PFM Act, that after the budget highlights have been read is when the second reading or the debate on the finance bill would commence. So no one imagined up to Tuesday, and I want to repeat, up to Tuesday, no one imagined, at least from my standpoint, that on Wednesday, that the finance bill would be debated at second reading and concluded the same day. So apart from the fact that voting took place, and the Honorable Mungatana has talked about the mood, this standing order provides that the Speaker can overrule the House if he feels that the so-called mood is not giving sufficient time for debate on a particular matter. So the Speaker, and many times, by the way, the Speaker has ruled that he's not even putting to question, because it is in the discretion of the Speaker. The Speaker is not forced to put question if a member stands under Standing Order 95 to call for a vote. The Speaker has the latitude to gauge and decide. Money bills are the most critical bills in the life of any sovereign nation, because they talk about money, they talk about taxes. No taxation without representation. You cannot rush those bills. But allow me just to say something, Dibal, as he's my senior. He came to Parliament way before I did. Even though I'm serving my fourth term, he's doing his third. But he came way before me, so he's my senior. And he's also my senior here. He came before me. Let me say something, and with all due respect to Mheshimiwa Faramali, if your reason for voting for this bill is that it's going to save us from borrowing, then you are wrong. I am telling you, if you look at the budget estimates, then you should be scared. If you look at the borrowing from last year, September, when Ruto took over power, to March, because I don't have the statistics up to June, you'd be scared. And can I just mention a few? You see, our budget is increasing by 544 billion in this financial year, from a budget of 3 trillion 55 billion to a budget of 3 trillion 599 billion. That one I've excluded what we call the debt rollover, because if you bring the debt rollover, it goes to over 4 trillion 419 billion. Now, with a budget increase of 544 billion, and I could even give you breakdown, but that would be too detailed, on the recurrent expenditure, which is 1.5 trillion, on development is only 718 billion, the debt repayment, the net debt repayment after rollover is 775 billion, 775 billion. That is CFS, and the CFS for salaries and salaries to constitutional office holders and pension is 211. Money that we give to counties is 385. If you add all this, is 3 trillion 599 billion. A rise of 544 billion, one of the highest budget jump. So you are not managing austerity measures, because austerity measures, if you want to manage it, you manage it first from the expenditure side. Now, the projection that we have for revenue collection is a total of 2.935 trillion, 2 trillion 935 billion, up from 2 trillion 230 billion. Additional 705 billion, will we collect it as a country? The answer is no. Even if you implement all these punitive taxes, you will still not get it. And so the deficit of 663, which the government is projecting, is understated deliberately to hoodwink IMF that we are not going to borrow much. But if we have to implement all the projects, all the programs that we have put, my answer to you is that we will have to borrow more. But I want to tell you here that from this talk that Kenya Kwanza is borrowing less, it is not factual. It is not based on facts. I will give you the statistics. From September, our debt stock on 30th of September 2022, and these are statistics, data from the government. I've not created my own figures. You can write them down and go and check. A total debt stock of 8.701 trillion was at 30th September 2022. I assume that is when Uhuru left office. He left a few days before. By March 31st, the debt stock was 9 trillion 390 billion. That is a difference of 689 billion. Compare that, that is a period of September to March. Compare that with September 21 to March 22. The difference in debt stock, the increase, was 405 billion. So who is borrowing more? Where is the evidence? You speak to us in rallies, you tell us these stories in the newsrooms, that we are tightening our belts so that tomorrow there's a better life. But it is not best. It is not backed with facts. The facts are we are borrowing more than even the previous regime. The facts are we are budgeting more. Yesterday, if you looked at the Nation newspaper, they were talking about how Ruto is spending more luxuriously compared to Uhuru. And they gave the foreign travels, local travels, they gave hospitality, and fuel and maintenance of vehicles. Those budget lines are luxury budget lines. Look at the office of the president. He's spending almost 3 times what Uhuru was spending. Look at the entire budget. The entire government is spending much, much more than what was being spent under Uhuru regime. So what Kenyans are being taxed on, and this is a persuasion I want to give to my senior. Kenyans are being taxed not to cut down on debt. We are being taxed to finance luxury. of Kenya Kwanza government. That is the truth. And that luxury starts from the office of the president, and they have created even positions that they should have not created, which is going to sink us more into the hole. I don't want to use the other word you use. Yeah. The hole that we are finding ourselves. We are digging further. And I want to be convinced here with the figures and statistics how life is going to be better for us.
Indeed. And 7 trillion shillings is what Kenya Kwanza is looking to spend on debt. Is there any, just a moment before Farah, 7 trillion shillings?
775 billion. 775 billion.
It's not trillion.
It's not trillion.
No.
Okay. So thank you for that correction.
They can't even borrow that. And there is something as you say. I don't know whether you still have time or you want to give it to someone else.
No, I wanted just to follow up just a bit before I come to.
Yes.
I wanted to ask you first of all, if at all we have 3.6 trillion shillings that has been read as a budget estimate.
Yes, it's now 3.6.
Yes, they say this is not truly the accurate figure, because you're not taken cognizant also of the debt stock.
The debt rollover.
Yes, the debt rollover as well.
For the word debt rollover, yes.
Yeah.
The 850 billion. Yes.
This is what I wanted to ask first of all, because at the stands it should be 4.45.
It's actually now 4.5.
4.5.
Yes, because Parliament added 80 billion.
Okay. So the question I wanted to ask is, first of all, from the standing orders, I don't know, is there a way, because this is not the true reflection of where we are when you look at the budget itself, but we have the CS also having the wiggle room to try and not give this debt rollover to this budget.
Yes.
So how then do we get a true reflection of where we are if this is not given, and where does it stand? Especially on the floor. Yes.
I have mentioned this. I never had opportunity, and that is why I call upon the Speaker, Spanner, to help us, because we didn't debate the budget estimates properly. I have mentioned it in public that our budget is not 3.6 trillion as you put it.
Yes.
It is actually from the executive it came as 4.4 4.5 trillion. Yes. 4 trillion 449 billion. But we added more. Why do I say that? The debt rollover we are trying to treat as non-expenditure. What do we mean by debt rollover? Debt rollover is where you owe me money, and I owe you money, and I come to you and tell you, even though I owe you money, it is difficult for me to pay you at this time. Can we agree? And I continue owing you. In the meantime, I'll be paying you interest. You know, that is very risky. Because when I come to you at your own terms. You can change even the interest rates at that point. It doesn't have to continue at this old rate. We have the Eurobond that is maturing, which was taken in 2014. It's maturing next year before June. That is 277 billion. We are anticipating a rollover. With what is happening in the international market, financial market, chances are that we are going to get that money, yes, as a rollover, but at a very high cost. So that is why it is important to include as well the debt rollover to our budget. But I want to tell you the reason why government is becoming cheeky, and they are even becoming more cheeky. They have introduced a bill in Parliament. I say they sneaked it when we were very busy with the debate on finance bill and budget estimate. Then they brought amendment to the Public Finance Management Act 2023. And that bill, if you read clause 6, is offensive and taking away the powers of Parliament. First, okay, they are changing now the budget computation of budget ceiling to anchoring it to GDP. That's okay. That is where we were before Jubilee came to power. They are the ones who came with these absolute figures. Mheshimiwa here was with me in the 10th Parliament and Mheshimiwa Farah. We anchored our budgets, our ceilings always was on GDP. Net present value. Now I don't want to go into those details. It can blow your head at the back. But
yes, CPA John Mbadi.
We had anchored it. Sorry, I know I'm taking a bit of time on GDP percentage. We are going back there, and what we are saying in this law is that it should be 55% of GDP. Yeah. But at Dibal, already our calculation is that it is at 60% of net present value. But they want to remove it. But that is not what I was talking about. You know, they are making a provision in law now that Cabinet Secretary for Finance can go beyond the budget ceiling and report to Parliament. Report, not seek even post facto approval. So I would expect, I would request Honorable Farah when that comes, and I think it may go to the Senate, please let us reject this obnoxious, this funny proposal in law.
All right. Let me just give it to Gladys also. I know you've got a lot to chime in on that regard as well.
I want to pitch.
No, I'll come to Farah. We need to go sequentially so that I don't look out.
Gag him.
Yes. No, there is. I enjoy debating with Honorable Mbadi because he's factual. He's a great economist. He understands and he puts facts. Unlike many of his Azimio colleagues, I don't like to debate them, but he's factual. Even if he takes a divergent view, he's always very factual.
Appreciates it, yeah.
Yes, and I appreciate that. And I think when he talks about that what was inherited by the William Ruto government, you're right. But I think if you check the records, the president has been on record explaining that they discovered what was handed over to them as what the debt was. They discovered there was another 300 billion that was not declared. So yes, you're right. In what was given on the 30th of September, it was not actually 801 trillion. It ended up being 1.2 trillion. That was what actually came. So he's correct in that fact.
9.2.
Yeah. It came. No, it
9.2.
Yes.
9.2 trillion.
Yes, but it eventually was an extra 300, which means it came to about 1.2 trillion or so. That's correct. And then also, when we talk about that there's extra expenditure that's being made by the Kenya Kwanza government, for example, like the international travel and so on, I don't think you can fault a president for being hardworking. You cannot fault a government for being hardworking. The fact that we had a lazy president in the past, yeah, and I'm sorry to say that, cannot be something that is right. If you look at all the international travels that have been done, meeting the Japanese president, going Germany, Singapore, etc., all those, they have negotiated. Some of the countries have agreed to buy carbon for Kenya carbon credits for them. So actually, each of those are earning us money. We must ask ourselves, are these interactions, it's costing us money, but are we going to make money out of it? The answer is yes. So that's what we should be looking at. Let's not just say about the expenditure. It's like if I have to make money today, I have to put in capital and spend money. And I think that is happening. So on that reason, that should be the case. And then also, as we look at the budget, I look at the newspapers today, and I think one of them says, taxes, showdown. That's not true. The other newspaper says, yeah, the Standard. Then the other one says, Ruto backs tax bill. It's not a tax bill. It's been sold as if Kenyans are going to be burdened. And us sitting here are making it look like the ordinary Kenyan is going to be burdened. If I put a tax, if there is taxes on imported furniture so that our guys on Juakali can sell their furniture, surely, why are we complaining about that? If we are taxing imported steel so that we can allow the locally manufactured steel to thrive, is that really a tax? So let us stop misleading Kenyans. It's sad that this misleading of Kenyans has not only been done by the official opposition, but the media is in on it. The Standard included, where I'm sitting here today. That's why I said I'm coming here today, because I want to correct it. Yes.
But you didn't see this particular headline, unless now you dreamt about it, that it's going to be a splash today.
No, I've watched you the whole week.
It is.
I watched you the whole week.
Yeah.
That is the problem, is they've been putting that. So let us first say, and then when they tell people, oh, this hustler government has now decided to tax the hustler, that's not true. The extra tax is on people earning more than 500,000. I do not know any hustler in my village who's earning 500,000 a month. So how are they being taxed? And then, even when we talk about the housing levy, which again the media has sold as a tax, it's not a tax, it is a saving. Because tax goes one way. With a tax, you never get your money back. This is money that you can get back that you can move to a beneficiary or you can move to your pension fund after 7 years. And why are we being taxed? So that the biggest supporters of Honorable Mbadi and his party leader in Kibera, can be able to stop living in shacks where there are no toilets and are dealing with the flying toilets. They don't have water, they don't have electricity, they basically are very sick most of the time because of the poor sanitation. So you have a challenge with primary health care. That money that we are going to pay as a levy is going to help transform Kibera from being a slum to a real estate hub. So let the media is selling a story that is not true. And when we talk about, and they don't even tell the bigger story, which is, it's not just creating affordable housing. It's also about creating employment. Because Kenyans have told us we have unemployment. But during the construction of this affordable housing, jobs are going to be created. There's going to be the Mama Mboga who will be selling githeri to the construction workers. There's going to be the person who's doing plumbing. There's going to be the person pushing the wheelbarrow and doing the koroga job, being a mason, and so on. It's an entire economic ecosystem. And then they don't even tell the bigger story, which is, and I'll give the example of Mukuru, Kwanjenga, Kwa Ruben, and all those, that place. That place, the average person, it sits on 689 acres of land. It has, people there on average pay 2,500 shillings to live in a shack. That means it is, actually those people, the rent being paid in Mukuru is 280 billion a month, a year. What we are saying is, if you put affordable housing there, those people, we can pay the 2,500 shillings, but it's rent to own. They can pay the rent every month, but they're going to eventually own that house. But not only will they pay the 2,500, they will have sanitation, they will have electricity, they will have a bathroom to use, their children will have a safe place, and they will even be, instead of people selling food on the roadside, that same housing is going to have a place which has a market, which means Mama Mboga can now have a place where they sell the food, and it means that these people can have safer food and healthy food, meaning that we will have less cases of health challenges. So it cuts across everything.
Thank you.
That is the story you're not telling.
All right.
And that is why
we'll get
we
clarity.
Must, and I hope, that we will, as the media, stop telling the wrong story. Tell the truth about it.
All right, we'll come to the housing levy, because there has been a revision, of course, we saw from 3.5% to 1.5%.
As a result of the public participation.
Yes, as a result of the public participation,
you cannot come, that's the other issue, is if you're in parliament, how does the opposition decide to walk out? How does walking out represent your people? Don't walk out. Sit there and give your views. And also, if the opposition was very genuine, then they should have been sitting with the Kimani's committee, the chairperson. They should have attended and given their own view. In fact, I respect those Kenyans, the 110 Kenyans who went in person with written representation to the committee. There was 181 institutions, including very big accountancy firms where Mbadi has worked. Yes, he knows. KPNG, the likes, they all went there and they made their representation. And they said, this is what you've done is wrong. But our proposal is that you should do this instead. So give us an alternative view. Because government does not get money from the sky. The government gets money from two places: loans or from taxes. That's the reality.
Thank you.
So don't say the government should pay. In fact, I remember I went to a media house and they said, the government should find money. I said, from where? And taxing people is not happening only now. It's from biblical times. Even the Bible said, give unto Caesar what belongs to Caesar.
Indeed, it is not new, but
it's not new.
Thank you.
So why is it that you can actually say taxes showdown? Even you, as a media house, pays taxes.
No, the showdown is on the debate, really. It's not really about if you should not give you tax. I mean, we have mandated you as government to get these taxes from one
and then also,
that is
like
a given.
We say, Kenya, there's the reality check. Yeah, as Honorable Mbadi has said, unfortunately, we are in a bad place.
Right. We'll come to the bad place.
And we must admit that.
Yeah.
So if we are in a bad place, if today I'm broke, my kids also have to know they have to eat less. They are not going to have any luxuries. If they have to walk to school, they will walk to school. I cannot afford to buy fuel.
Indeed.
Reality.
Thank you. All right. I don't want to lose...
Yes,
Father Malim, he wanted to read out something from a standing order still, right? From his archives.
They're telling me you are very cleverly telling me I'm a dinosaur.
Whenever we have a meeting of the speakers panel, when we have the meeting, I'm sitting there chairing, and then before I conclude any issue, I say, I refer to him. Then he comes out with a story from long time ago. And he tells us, you see, under this speaker, this is what happened. So we value his
we appreciate, of course.
And we appreciate. So
it's
always a pleasure that I have that I have him with me on the speakers panel.
No,
it's a compliment.
Thank you. No, I know. Gladys is the sister, and we have a lot of regard and respect for her. Now, as he puts it, one big problem we have is that the rate of turnover of our parliament is very high.
Yes.
It's very high. So invariably, I think this last one is probably one that has not had that much turnover. In the past, it's going to be 15% will come back, 20% will come back. This time, I think there's slightly more than 50%.
Yeah, it was 53%. Previously, it was 30%. Yeah.
But you see, and most of them were there only for one term. And that's one term, the term of confrontation within Jubilee. The term of the internecine, you know what I mean, internal war within the gang itself, you know. And I called it the gang, Jubilee those days. So there was very little regard for systems, very, very little regard for people to learn as they progress. I've had myself the opportunity and the luck to have been there at the feet of the likes of Jaramogi, Kibaki, Matiba, Dennis Akumo, Lawrence Sagini, Onyonka, you know, the people who are Nyachai at some stage, who was literally the doyen of civil service in this country, and all those guys. So we were learning as we were debating, as we were basically also transacting, and we were also learning at their feet. So this business of this young men and women running always and saying, the moment be called upon to pray, it's an abusive process. The one principal rule that you must observe is the right of the majority to have its way and the right of the minority to have its say. So even if it's only 10 members of parliament who want this debate to be there to continue, somebody on the chair should always give that to them. And this standing order, by the way, has taken it to that. It says, after the question on the mover, on a motion, the mover of which has a right of reply has been proposed. A member rising in this will have placed may claim that the mover may now call upon to reply. And unless, you see, there's a caveat here, and unless the speaker is of the opinion that such motion is an abuse of the proceedings of the House or an infringement of the rights of members, it doesn't matter how much minority they are, then the question that the mover be called upon to reply should be put forth. So it's not always the majority that should have its way. Allow as much leeway as possible for people to participate in this. After all, it's a democracy. The majority will always find its way at the end of the day. I remember when we were just a handful of us in the 7th Parliament, and we kept the House so lively. when they called us, whatever, with the young Turks or whatever it is, you know, and we were there. And you know, there are folks like Onyonka, Biwot, who would say, no, allow the debate to continue. And we'll keep on debating and debating and debating until there's nobody from our side to debate. And then we proceed now and take these things, when ample opportunities be given to it. But right now, because of the acrimony, and because of also the picketing from both sides, occasionally you find the majority also literally coming, putting you know, the speaker under siege, under siege. And I think we need to go into, and with the deputy speaker and the speaker, we need to have some kamukunjas in which we are going to give, you know, we're going to talk to the members of parliament and give them lessons, an induction for that matter. Now, that is that. And that's standing order number 95. The mood of the House, yes. The majority of the House can have that mood, but if the minority still wants to continue with the debate, you allow them to continue with the debate. There isn't something called filibustering. Filibustering is when a few members would want to extend this thing for the longest and keep on talking when it's not timed. But now we don't have filibustering. Now, the primary...
No, the filibustering will be there tomorrow.
Listen,
I think ODM has that.
It's okay.
It has
no problem.
A plan on the
and I think
filibustering
that
of his
basically can continue for the longest. There's no problem.
Okay.
Don't rush me, eh? Okay.
I'm due for a station break. I might just need to bite it so that I'll circle back with you, Farah. Yeah, because...
by the way, Mbadi talked about, one, this government claims that when they came in, they found the coffers clean. The reserves were literally cutting away. The previous government made sure that they don't find any money in the coffers. We'll get to know what the truth is at some stage down the line. So, even when they say that we borrowed this period of time, it was just to keep the government afloat because we're not going to pay salaries. I mean, there were a lot of things. For the first time in a very long time, we have members of parliament getting their salary second week, first week, sometimes. And before it used to be the 25th. You know, allowances for the longest sometimes that you cannot get, including mileage and the rest of it. So there is a problem in the country. There's a cash crunch. Now, the cash crunch, the UDA government or the KK government says it's the old ones. It's the
previous government.
The previous government, Uhuru, and of course his buddy Raila. I don't know where Raila comes in that, but according to them, those are the ones who ran the finances. Those days, and they made sure that this place was empty.
Handshake.
Bankrupt, yes, the handshake.
Sir.
Austerity measures.
Mbadi was in government.
Yeah, Mbadi was in the government, yeah.
When?
Handshake
I was only in government in 2010.
Austerity measures. You see, you talk about austerity measures. Austerity measures has never worked.
Okay. Could we broach that issue of austerity measures later? Allow me just to take a short break so that we can reserve it as a standalone topic as well. The question when we come back, of course, we want to raise is the fact that also the majority, the parliamentary majority, is being challenged in court. And what does that really portend as far as Kenya Kwanza being the majority and Azimio, of course, the minority that is being challenged in court right now? We shall also broach on the issue of a housing levy or a housing tax and the ramifications since it was revised from 3.5% to 1.5%. The debate on the ground has been that, yes, now it's a tax, and that carries another diametrically different, of course, ramifications as far as the levy and the tax is concerned, that if it's a tax, then, of course, you have no legal right to claim any tax from government. That is government, and they have discretion to do what they want with the tax. That has been the debate on the ground. But we'll get clarification from the legislators here and as we move forward as well, and we'll look at